What's up? What's up? Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of the Motive Zone. My name is Tiffany Clark, and I'm your host. And we have a very special guest in the building, Jatia Jones, fondly known as the natural nat. If I could speak this today, okay. First of all, let me do that again. You deserve a little extra, okay. Jatia Jones, my girl, fondly known as the natural networker, is a visionary with the ability to facilitate clarity and dream transformation. Although once an introvert, now ambivert, Jatia has been a natural at networking. Her passion to help and heal led her to assist other introverts and students with effectively and efficiently networking. Over the years, she realized those who were the most successful were those who were crystal clear on their goals. Therefore, she adapted her system to guide clients towards definite clarity, simplifying their transformation of dreams into reality. And that is how she created the wonderful nonprofit organization called 14s. So welcome, TT. I'm sorry, I call her TT, you guys. You can't call her that. Welcome, Miss Jones, Jatia Jones.
Thank you, love. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. So, to kick things off, I usually start with a little recap.
Yes.
And so last week we had a little technical difficulty. The live, we did not have sound. I'm sorry, you guys. But Kevin and I were talking about just moral cleansing in politics. That's what we were talking about. We were talking about moral cleansing in politics and what that looks like, and how Marianne was basically trying to explain herself during the second debate, when she mentioned that the entire government body needed a moral cleansing in order to get people of color, in particular, to trust the oncoming politicians. So that was that. We had a little conversation about that. We also, unfortunately, had to bring up the unfortunate happenings of the mass shootings and gun laws and how that all plays into our distrust for the government. But past that, Kevin and I, and you so lovingly showed some support. We're at AFRAM this week, you guys. We were in Baltimore. Shout out to Baltimore, the people of Baltimore. And the AFRAM Festival is like one of the largest African American festivals on the East Coast. And so we went out there. We had our table set up. We were promoting the Motive Zone, but we were also raising awareness for CASA. Right. And so CASA, for all who don't know, is Court Appointed Special Advocates. It's a nonprofit organization. And we were raising awareness for children in foster care and, looking to hopefully gain some volunteers for the DC and Baltimore area. So that was awesome. And it was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yes. Lots
It was
of great faces.
exactly. We met a lot of people. We networked, natural networker.
That you did.
Yes, we did. We took a page out of her playbook. She teaches us all how to network naturally.
It should be fun.
Yeah, and we came across a few organizations that I thought were interesting. One name that I didn't know about was called Thread, and what they do is they engage underperforming high school students, and their mission is basically to thread together like a family network.
I love it.
For children in high school who basically need help, who may need, help with getting to school or need a place to stay or are hungry. And so they kind of, they fuse together these individuals who have they're of diverse background. And they basically create families for students in need.
I love it.
I thought that was dope.
I might actually need to contact them.
Yes, we have the contact information. And unfortunately, I forgot the young lady's name. My co-host Kevin was talking, chatting her up.
Yes,
Kevin.
He's good at that.
He's delightful, Kevin. He can chat up anyone. He's never met a stranger. So I didn't get her name, but I was very taken by the mission of that organization. And also another organization called Destined for Greatness. They operate out of Delaware. Well, she's from Delaware. Destiny, I remember Destiny's name. She created the nonprofit Destined for Greatness in order to kind of help out the community and help young people basically better themselves. I know that she was saying that she had like a sneaker drive one day.
Oh, no,
She
that's
had a sneaker
amazing.
drive. I thought that that was
Give the
dope.
people what they want.
Give the people what they want. And so I say all that to say that these nonprofit organizations are doing the damn thing, really raising awareness and bringing what the people need to the communities. And so I would like to talk about 14s because 14s has a summit coming up in Atlanta, Georgia, you guys. And I want all of you viewers to go out there and show some support if you can. Get a ticket.
Sponsor a kid if you don't have kids.
That's right. So first of all, let's back up and tell the world, tell the people about 14s and how you kind of came into creating this nonprofit.
So basically, I wanted to help the younger version of myself come from a single family home. Who mom just wanted better for my brother and I. So she went out, she asked a bunch of questions, and voila, like magic, I now am where I am.
Right.
Because I was a kid that was like, oh, I'm going to college. Didn't know what that looked like. SAT, ACT, what's this,
Exactly.
I make good grades, I'm going to college. Didn't know any better. And so I wanted to be able to provide all those lessons learned that took me many, 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 many years to get to the kids before they even reach high school, to give them a leg up to actually be able to make their dreams come true. I was also that kid that said, I want to do this when I grow up, and they were like, no, you should go be a doctor.
Oh my gosh, you too?
And I'm like, okay, I'll go where the money is, and that's not where the grades were. That's not where the passion was.
Right.
And so, long and short, I ended up kind of sort of creating a major. I majored in, I started off in the engineering school. Yeah. And
Oh, she's smart, y'all.
moved on
She's smart.
over. That didn't last long. Moved on over to technical communications, which still was in the engineering school, but it was basically taking technical terminology and putting it into layman's terms so the basic person could understand it. Building websites and things of that nature, but I put a public health spin on it because that's been my whole life, my mom's background. And so, yeah, it's just kind of led me to this point. But we want to definitely target those kids who want to go to college as well as those who don't like school and don't think college is for them. To let them know that you really can make your career dreams come true, whatever that is, even if it's a trade, like
Right.
becoming a barber or a nail tech or doing hair or makeup. It's not traditional school. You might have to go get a certification. It might take 6 months. It might take 2 years. But in the end, you're working for yourself. So even being an entrepreneur, you might have to go to school. You might not. But we want to give you those options. Let you talk to people who look like you. I know a lot of times the people in my family think I'm different for some reason. Like, no, I was right there with you. It's
Right,
great,
right,
So
right.
it's just all about how you apply yourself, what you want to do, and knowing the pathways to get there. So we
Right.
provide resources, tools, mentors for kids to make their career dreams come true.
Right. And so, what I find profound about 14s and your mission is that basically it feels as if you're kind of transforming education in a way.
Yes.
You're transforming the way that teens, view education and view their possibilities in life.
Exactly.
And, that's something to be said because just so you guys know, this episode is in honor of International Youth Day. And the mission of this year was surrounding transforming education. And so these are things that we weren't taught.
Exactly.
Like you said, you said you wanted to be one thing. Grades didn't say that. Parents may not have said that. Like I know when I was growing up, I wanted to be a lawyer. My dad was like, "No, your sister's gonna be a lawyer. You're gonna be a nurse." I'm like, well,
Right.
how you gonna just change what I'm dreaming about? You know what I'm saying? But the reality is that education starts in the home, and so we have to redesign the language, change the language and change the way that we are interacting with our children in order to encourage them instead of discouraging them from their dreams or from their passions. Because, like you said, trades are just as important
Definitely.
and just as reputable and just as
And can make a lot
prestigious.
more money
Yes,
in
and
less
just as
time.
prestigious in less time. Exactly.
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 You know, the one thing that I try to stress to the kids when I speak to them is that it took me a long time to realize that your parents are still humans,
Right.
and they only have the capability of giving you what they have.
That's
And with
right.
things changing so much, technology, like I can barely keep up. You know, your phone
Right.
gets an update, and I'm like, I can't find anything. So nevertheless, your parent actually being able to keep up and provide you with cutting edge and things of that nature. So we kind of step in and do that for them. Because a lot of times parents love out of fear. They don't want you to get hurt. They don't want
Ooh.
your feelings hurt and things of
Ooh.
that nature. So they try to protect you, and a lot of times it ends up handicapping us along the way. So just that different trend of education and technology, the way kids do math now.
Yes.
My goddaughter was trying to show me, and I was like, "Ma'am, by the time you give somebody change at the register, like I would grow gray hair, and I already grow it fast enough."
Oh my
So I'm
goodness,
just
that is
like,
so true.
I believe in showing your work, but they don't do cursive anymore. I'm like, how do you sign your name? So
And
things are changing.
these things are changing. And what's interesting is that like even some of the math that we were taught,
Hmm.
when do we use that stuff?
You know, I think a lot of times, some of it we definitely don't use.
Yeah, no.
But sometimes it does come up. It's like tying your shoe. You don't think about it. Sometimes you just do it. You know.
Yeah.
So, like I was telling you, I have a degree in public health, and so knowing exactly what a 90-degree angle. I work.
Yeah,
Teach
yeah,
military
yeah.
about immunizations and things, and so when you're talking to a tech that is about to give you a shot in your arm, and you really want them to give it to you at a 90-degree angle, and some of them don't know what that is. In that case, I really need you to know.
I'm gonna need you to know what a 90-degree angle is, please.
45 up to,
Please,
90,
nurse,
some of those.
ma'am, sir.
Yeah.
You know?
So sometimes it comes in handy. It does.
Right.
A lot of it, you're right. I believe in cheat sheets.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm teaching my little nephew how to do times tables.
Mm.
1 times 1 is 1.
Mm-hmm.
1 times 10 is 10. Okay, let's add a little bit more. 10 times 10 is what?
Right.
1. And how many zeros do you have? 2 zeros? Okay, the answer is 100. We shouldn't have to memorize everything. Teach us shortcuts. Save some brain cells for the important stuff like dreaming.
Right. Right. Like dreaming. But also, I noticed on your website that you speak about the 4 pillars that you teach your students. So please, let's talk about those 4 pillars, Jatia.
Financial, social, community, and health. I believe that definitely, I keep talking about health because that's important to me, but holistically, you cannot be great just by fostering one area.
Right.
Just combing one section of our hair is not going to make us slay. We really need to comb the whole head.
Right.
So with that being said, if you are well versed in finance or health or just being social in your community,
Right.
giving back, different areas of life. So those are our 4 pillars: health, finance, social, and community.
Mm-hmm.
And we encourage the kids to dive into each of those areas because each of those areas contain jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But holistically, if you can know or do a little bit in each of those areas, you will excel 10 times greater than if you were just in 2 or of the 4.
Right, right. And what I do remember about being in school is that we weren't taught about personal finance. We weren't really taught about saving and investing and what that all looks like. We weren't taught about debt. I mean in college, yes. But I'm talking about not kinda, right.
I got a credit card my freshman year because they were giving out free T-shirts, and
That's right. We didn't know anything about interest rates or APRs, any of that.
No, none of that.
So I think that it's important that, particularly starting in the home, that we are teaching our children about finance, teaching them how to be confident and learn responsibility, having a little savings bank, teaching them how to purchase things. Even like if you go out to a restaurant with your kid,
Right.
teach them how to pay and calculate tips and taxes.
Thank you. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
PJ, ladies and gentlemen.
He just wants to make sure you guys can hear me.
That's right. Our engineer.
Trying to give the people what they want.
Get the people what they want. Anywho, as we were,
Yes.
can you guys hear us?
That's better? Okay, great.
Okay. um, but yes, teaching children how to handle responsibility, show them how to calculate, simple tips.
Exactly. And why tips are even important.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Because that kind of leads into community and social, if
Very
you think
much
about
so.
it. Because as a community, we have to take care of one another. And a lot of these, blue collar, if you will,
Yeah.
these waiters and waitresses, these hosts and hostesses, they don't really earn a high wage.
Most of them earn under minimum wage.
They earn well under minimum wage. And so we have to teach our children, what that looks like and what that means and why that's important that we support one another.
Exactly. It takes a village.
It does take a village.
It takes a lot longer to do it by yourself. So if we can come together and do it together, why not?
Yes, yes, yes. And, another thing is that within these schools, the school system is kind of, the public school system, people are always complaining about the public school system and how, these students are really not getting the opportunities that they need. And so if we, this is why, organizations like 14s is so great, is because the resources that these students are not getting at home or not getting in the school, they're able to obtain with your organization.
Exactly. At least exposure. Exposure is huge. If you can see it, you can believe it.
Right.
And a lot of times, the kids that we serve, they only see this far because their parents only saw this far, or it takes a lot. Their parents are working multiple jobs, so it's not that they don't want to.
Right.
It's not that they have the opportunity to.
Right.
So the kids are going to grandmom's house, and mom might pick them up late night, take them home, and start all over again.
Right.
And so to actually be able to see someone whose parents did the same thing for them, and now they're running, I don't know, multi-million-dollar business, or, the things that we see that we think, oh, they started with a silver spoon, so they were able to do it because somebody gave them something, or that hard work is still a whole lot more valuable than being given something. A lot of times our kids are entitled
Yeah.
To a lot
Because
of
of
stuff.
because of the era that we live in,
Yes.
right? Everything is like accessible, so kids think that they deserve it and they should have it. And the reality is that when we were growing up, we had to earn what we had.
Allowance, what was that?
Right, right.
Learn how to do my
Like a
own
ma-
hair and nails. Money to get my nails done?
Right. You better sell some lemonade on that corner.
Figure it out. Figure it out.
Yes. And what I think, excuse me, you guys, distracted a little bit. But and also, what I think is important is that we dispel the either or communication with our kids.
Yes.
Either you go to school or you get a job. Either you go to school or you're going to fail. Either you get a job or you're going to go to jail. These are all conversations that, particularly within the Black community, that we have with our children that instill fear into, and it instills fear into our children. And what it does, it doesn't really open up the, I want to say, perspective.
It discourages and defeats before it inspires.
Thank you. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Because it's like, for a child that thinks, I'm not good enough or I'm not smart enough, going to school, or I'm going to automatically go to or. And then if I don't think I'm good enough for or, then it's just compounded.
I'm hopeless.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a little hopeless.
And I'm not going to try half of the time. So.
Yeah. And you know what else? What I find interesting is that even the reading levels in our communities is very low.
Very low.
It's very low. I read something like, I want to say it's over 50% of fourth graders are not reading at the fourth grade level. That's terrible.
And I don't know the stats on literacy. So one of the things that we do try to do is work with other nonprofits that focus in other areas that we aren't great at. Because I like I said earlier, with the holistic method. So literacy is important.
Yeah, it is. And here's why literacy is important. Not only because as an adult, you want to be able to learn how to read, but it is because children that can't read while they're younger grow old and become adults who can't read.
Factual.
Okay. And what happens is when we have the either or conversations with our children and they're not excelling in certain areas in school and they don't feel confident enough to have the conversation, with whoever, is supposed to be guiding them.
Right. I had this conversation with a friend recently, and, she was saying that it was a friend of hers daughter's. And so they were like, go read. We need you to read more often. And I was like, but when you're already frustrated and you feel defeated, sending me to read by myself,
It's not helpful.
it's not helpful. I don't know if we need a tutor. I don't, because, a lot of times, just even as adults, not just kids, when it's working with someone not closely related to you, it's less attitude.
Right, right.
And less frustration.
Right.
So I was like, have someone else. I know I'm dating myself right now, but back in my heyday, there was the Book It Club with Pizza Hut. And if you read so many books, you got stars, and then you would take your thing to Pizza Hut and you would get a personal pan pizza.
What?
Yeah, we had buttons. I wore my button
Where was
proudly.
this at in New York? Where were y'all at?
In the state of Georgia, I was an avid reader.
I did not know about this.
Yeah, and I think you maybe had to do like one book report, or maybe that was just my class. I don't know if that was a requirement, but that's transparency moment. That's also where I learned how to skim. I was like, I need the important facts so I can do this book report so I can get my pizza. But it definitely encouraged reading. With humans in general, you have to find that carrot, that one thing that will make us work for it and strive for it. And it's not the same for every person, so it's not the same for every child.
Right.
I love food, so pizza worked for me.
Right.
It made me read. It made me want to read. And I'm competitive. So I was like, I'm going to beat all of y'all this week, And it also got me that validation from my mom. It also saved my mom money because, she didn't have to pay for dinner that night. I got a free pizza. So there were definitely programs I know more so back in our time frame. I don't know if Book It still exists. If it doesn't, Pizza Hut, here you go. You might want to re-implement it because the kids are still in need.
Yeah, and the kids are still in need, but what I do understand is that parents don't have patience. They don't have time. You got some parents out here working 2 and 3 jobs. They don't have time to sit down with their kid and help them learn how to read. They assume that the teachers are doing it. And meanwhile, these teachers are underpaid, underfunded. The resources are not there. And so that is why, nonprofit organizations are so important. Like, for example, for teens, but also I know a nonprofit in this area, which I'm also a member of. It's called Reading Partners. Yes, I love this organization. It's so cute. You work with elementary school kids to teach them reading comprehension.
I love that.
Yeah. And so basically, again, with the whole community pillar, students that are trying to get credit or, they can
go volunteer
as a reading partner.
Definitely. It's so, and speaking of nonprofits in the area, shout out to Take One. They're out of Baltimore, and they definitely provide funding for inner city Baltimore kids to go to school. So like collectively, like you say, volunteer, give back to the younger version of yourself. Even if you're 12, you knew your strife when you were 6. You thought those were serious issues, so help someone who's 6 years old. Or just like you say, go and help someone read. I know sometimes it's
45 minutes. These kids don't have the attention span for anything longer than 45 minutes.
Especially younger kids.
Oh my goodness, 45 minutes.
It's that long.
It's like, okay, am I done? Can I get my sticker? All right, thank you.
And it helps you when you help others.
Absolutely.
I say that with networking all the time. It's not a take. It's a give. And when you do give, you get back so much more abundantly. And a lot of times we are in it for ourselves, but when you're helping others, no matter what you believe in, the universe itself definitely brings it back around to give to you. And once you put out in the atmosphere what you want, you're going to get it back. So volunteering in the community is definitely a great way to help you help them. So
Yeah, make a difference in a child's life. And as you all know, that's been one of the missions of the Motive Zone is to basically bridge the gap between community.
yes.
You know, because we have all of these resources, we hear about all of these nonprofits doing all of these great things, but we need to come together and share resources.
Yeah. And that's why you going to AFRAM was
Yes.
absolutely amazing.
Yes, I loved it. It was so good. I couldn't believe how many organizations are out there really, because you don't know.
You don't. And the thing is, especially with the nonprofit arena, we try so hard, but we normally start with so little. And so getting the word out there is a difficult thing to put it in front of the masses.
Right.
And even with something like AFRAM, unless people were really walking around,
Right.
you missed half of the vendors and organizations that were out there. But it is a great way to network and make new friends and hopefully be able to collectively put together some resources to help. And then definitely starting with the kids.
Right.
We saw plenty of kids out there.
Right.
They were dancing. Half of them were working. It was the cutest little thing ever. But the younger you start with them, the easier it will be for them to make that transition into adulthood and actually be productive citizens of society. I know a lot of times, going back to when you were like, the parents don't have the time and the resources, when we do provide throughout community organizations and resources, it alleviates some of the weight and strain off of them. So hopefully they can be a little bit more patient. They can be a little less tired. But, you know, those are the circumstances. But taking them to AFRAM was free.
It was.
And there's so many free programs out there.
Yes. I love the fact that AFRAM is free, and it was great. I mean, you had performances, you had food, you
Big
had
names. Rick Ross, 7th Streeter.
Okay.
For free?
Okay.
You know
and
how
then
much
for
Rick Ross tickets
for
are?
us oldies, there's the Cisco's.
Yes.
And the
Blackstreet?
New Drew Hill and look, because it's New Drew Hill.
Yeah.
I'll tell y'all about that later. And the Teddy Riley's. Okay, so yeah, it was good. They did a really great job. Kiana Letta, is that how you say her name?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Kiana Letta.
I don't
want to
butcher it.
Her voice is beautiful. But yeah, so about this New Drew Hill, I just gotta,
Sidebar.
So there was Cisco, and we were under the impression that it was going to be Drew Hill, but
However,
Cisco came out with 3 new Drew Hill members. So this is the new Drew Hill that he has created, but it was still good.
Singing old songs?
They were singing old songs, but it was good.
Okay.
It was good. They did a good job. They sounded well.
Okay. Because I was only there for Saturday. That was on Sunday.
This was on Sunday, but yeah, they did a good job. It was cool. We didn't really do much of the well, Kevin did. He was down there in the front line. he was getting all the footage.
I love him.
Kevin he's so delightful. But yeah, back to, and then, with going back to what we were talking about. Sorry. Getting back to business, you guys. Yeah, just making sure that. So a lady on Sunday, you weren't there on Sunday, but a lady, she came and she stopped by the table, and she basically told us her story. And what she said was that, she was just getting ready to live her best life and, retire and do all of these great things. She had raised her,
her kids were grown?
Yeah, so yeah, she had a son through marriage, and her husband, she's a widow. Okay. And so she raised a young man, and he had children, and she was just getting ready to live her best life. And, the mother of the children dropped the 2 boys off on her doorstep. Yeah. So instead of...
Wait, where was her son? Never mind. Continue with the story.
He's there.
Oh, okay.
But...
Mommy needed to be mommy.
So he was, the courts were going to allow the son to take the children, but he was just like, the kids need to be with their mother. And so the mother was like, and so the grandmother was like, give my babies. Yeah. Give my babies. And so what's upsetting about this is that, now you have a woman who's, used to
her freedom.
She's about to live her freedom, and now she has to take on 2 adolescent boys.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
So
love. That's selfless.
love. That's love. But then where does the money come from?
Factual.
Where does the patience come from when you are, of a certain age, you done raised yours, and now you have to take on two adolescent boys.
Adolescence is the key word.
Adolescent.
Ooh, the hormones.
The tweens. Like what do you do? Who do you reach out to? You reach out to organizations like 14's Thread
Yeah.
in order to help raise these kids. Because if not, what's going to happen is that they fall into
The cracks.
the cracks.
And just on that note, please, 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 if you know of an organization like I just learned about Threads from Tiffany, share. Please share. Share. Tell everybody you know about 14s. Because like that grandmother, the older we get, the less technologically advanced we become.
Right.
She might not know how to Google. I know I was with my mom and she was trying to look up a Jason's Deli and she put in like the longest description ever in Google and it didn't give her back what she wanted because she gave too many details, right? And I was like, Mom, just put in, she was looking for store hours. I was like, just put in Jason's Deli, Atlanta, and then find the address you want and it'll give you the store hours, at the bottom.
Right.
But they don't know this and you don't know what you don't know. So by word of mouth, which is, like you said, telling stories is a cultural thing for our communities.
Right.
It goes way, way back. But share, and share again. That's the only way that people like that grandmother that you were speaking of may even know about resources to provide the needs for her grandchildren.
Yeah, and then it just goes back to the whole transforming education thing.
Right.
Because we are taught that we have to do everything on ourselves, particularly, in the Black community. Like there's no village like what our grandparents were used to raise the children. There's no, where is the village?
Because grandmothers are like 30 nowadays.
Right. And you got a lot of parents that are saying, I just don't want this.
Right.
I didn't sign up for this. This is too hard. So we have to kind of transform the education about what is happening with these children.
And, so we instill with 14s that if you always find a problem to solve, you'll always have a job.
Right.
And so we look at that in the essence of education as well. So yes, you need to know your 1, 2, 3s. You need to know the basics, right? But once you have these basics, now what do you do with them? You apply it to solve a problem. Because telling them go get a job, some of the jobs that were booming back in our parents' days don't exist anymore.
Right.
And again, with technology, you have a ton more resources than, let's say, I had coming up to start a business now. There are kids at 12 that are doing big things. I heard of not an organization, but these 2 kids in Atlanta. The sister was diagnosed with SADS and tried to commit suicide. So the brother created an app so that those kids who felt like they wanted to commit suicide could reach out for help without reaching out for help. And I can't even think of the name of the app now. But I was like, this is the best idea known to man, but he was looking to solve a problem. With that came a paycheck, fortunately.
Right.
But it also helped people. It helped the community. It provided a village for those who didn't think there was. A lot of times, even though there are people surrounding them, when you're depressed, you don't really realize that. So
Right.
with the transition of education, I think to your point of the either or conversation,
Right.
start encouraging what they are interested in.
Right.
And encourage them to solve a problem within that arena.
Right. And also, it's not like, the mission of other nonprofit organizations like Threads, like it's not only about the child, it's not either the child or the family. Like
Correct.
our community, like the resources that are provided to communities, that are provided to communities, it's like a either or with that as well. It's like either, you can help out the child or you can help out the whole family. We need more resources that are collective.
Correct. So like we just say 12 and up.
Yeah.
We don't put a cap on it. So like the parents that do come to the Teen Summit, there's something for them to gain out of that as well.
Right.
So for example, this year we're doing a elevator pitch workshop.
Oh, I like that.
A parent, and I'm so excited about it. It's going to be so engaging. So with that, the parents can still pick up on that too. Because let's say they're looking for a better paying job. Now they know when I see this person randomly at the gas station who says X, Y, and Z, I can spit my pitch in less than a minute and maybe leave with a job.
Right.
So there's definitely resources. We're targeting the kids just because we want to fix the problem before they get X age. But the parents there's definitely stuff there for them as well. And moving on futuristically, we want to provide things specifically for the parents because a happy parent is a happy child.
Right. Right. Right.
You know, even as kids, they pick up on everything.
Yeah, children are very intuitive, and
Very.
they are, you know, they are, like I said, intuitive, and they're sponges.
They internalize a lot too.
That's exactly what I was going for. They internalize a lot. And speaking of internalizing a lot, on Sunday, we were at our table, and there was a young boy. He had to be about 13. And he was with a group of other little boys, young boys, and he was in a fit of rage. Okay, when I say he was in a fit of rage, he was in a fit. Okay, I think he may have gotten hit in the face. And I think he may have
He was 38 hot.
yeah, so he was hot. He was like, and so now he's trying to fight.
Okay.
He's trying to fight another boy. And I'm going somewhere with this, y'all. You bear with me. So he was trying to fight another boy. He was a bigger boy.
Okay.
And so the bigger boy is like, he's like, hit me. I dare you to hit me. If you hit me, I'm going to knock your ass out. Okay. Now, everybody's trying to calm this younger one down, including an adult who just came, an adult male who came out of nowhere. I don't know. But I guess he was with this group.
Okay.
And he may have taken these kids on some kind of field trip. I'm not particularly sure. But because there was a mixture of kids, boys and girls. So he's like, calm down. You're not about that life. You're not about that life.
What Gucci Man say?
You
Smoke?
keep trying to, yes, you acting like you want the smoke, and you're going to end up in jail. And so he's like, he's trying to calm him down, and at some point he's like, if you don't calm down, I'm going to F you up. And I'm just like,
That took a left.
whatever. But what the point that I'm trying to make is that, we have to be careful about language.
Right.
And when we talk about transforming education, and when we talk about either or perceptions or perspectives, when you say to a kid, especially a young boy, either you calm down or you can't go nowhere, or either you calm down and you're going to end up in jail. You calm down or, whatever. Basically, what we are essentially doing is teaching children that their rage is not being heard.
Or they're not being heard.
They're not being, right. They're not being heard, and their rage is not being acknowledged. Like, their pain is not being acknowledged.
Right.
Like, they have to suppress it. It's like a subconscious way of saying, you need to kill that. And what happens is that these kids, they grow up into adults that either suppress their feelings
and don't know how to articulate it or release the anger.
They don't know how to internalize it or articulate it. But also, when you say, to a kid, particularly in our communities, you're not about that life. What is going to happen is with this child is going to want to prove that they are about that life
every single day. And that language also encourages follow the leader mentality.
Right.
Which is institutionalized
behavior
as well.
Behavior.
It's like, do this or this. Like,
right.
Follow the rules in jail or don't eat.
Right.
And so
what is about that life? Like, because about that life insinuates some kind of cool, like, right. I'm tough, I can handle myself type of perspective. In reality,
that thug mentality
is cool. And in reality, being about that life is not cool.
We need to more so encourage them to think about it.
Right.
Analyze the if this then that.
Right, and there's no shade to the man that was like, trying to calm the young man down.
Right.
I could only imagine what it must have been like by yourself, or
With
whatever,
a
and
million
you
kids.
are trying to have control over multiple teenagers at a
And speak a
African American
language that they
festival.
resonate with. It's not his
Exactly.
fault that that actually resonates with this child
And
at this age.
you are speaking a language that you've grown up with.
Exactly.
We are taught, particularly in Black communities, to kind of like instill fear in order to get respect. And while that worked when we were growing up, sometimes
Sounds like somebody, but the system.
right, it doesn't work all the time.
That is true.
So this language not only suppresses, it encourages the suppression of your emotions,
Right.
but
Which is never good.
yeah,
They need to be processed, acknowledged, and released.
right, and it doesn't instill confidence.
Correct.
It creates a sense
That's a
of
big one.
anxiety. Like, oh, if I get too angry, I'm gonna go to jail. Well, if I'm defiant, I'm like, who cares? I'm gonna say what I gotta say. I'm gonna do what I gotta do, and if I gotta go to jail, so what?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we have to figure out ways to communicate with our youth in ways that are, like you said, more in uplifting, encouraging, and instills confidence.
And thought provoking.
And that
they
is
need to
thought-provoking.
actually learn that decision process.
Yeah.
Like, I was keeping one of my friend's kids, and my mom had told him, because it was over the holidays, that he could stay up as long as he wanted to. And I was like, you have basketball practice in the morning, right? So and he's like, but my Hattie said that I could go to bed whenever I wanted. And I was like, okay, let's discuss this. Because his parents are lawyers, okay?
Right.
So he's all about negotiations. But I was like, so what time do you have basketball practice in the morning? He was like, 8. I was like, what time is your dad going to be here to pick you up? He's like, I think he said like 7:30. I was like, okay, so that means you have to get up earlier than that to get dressed, correct? He's like, yes. I said, and how many hours of sleep do you need to be your best on the basketball court? Because you say you want to be LeBron. You can't be LeBron and be out there sleepy, weak, hungry, sucking on the basketball court, right?
Right.
I was like, so you do the math.
Right.
It's already midnight. You said your dad's coming to pick you up at 7:30, which means you probably need to get up about 6:45, right? And how many hours of sleep do you need to be your best? He's like, 8. I was like, so that means you're not waking up to 8 o'clock? That means you're late for basketball practice? And you can see the little wheels in his head start to turn. And he's like, I was like, so you know what? I'm going to leave you alone for a second. I'll let you process that. I'm going to go down here, get a glass of water. I'll be back.
Right.
I came back. He was asleep. He made the decision, and this doesn't work with every kid because every human's not the same, but he made the decision that for me to do what I want to do and be the best that I want to be, I might need to take my little behind the bed by himself. Now, it took some negotiations, which, our parents would be like, do what I said. We ain't talking about this. Just do it, So.
Right. But what was also great about that story is that you were teaching him about trust. You trusted him to make a decision. And so he's learning how to not only trust himself,
Right.
but also gain trust.
Right. And be confident in your decision.
Right.
Because, a lot of times my friends are like, oh, that's my baby. I'm like, your baby is 8. That's not a baby anymore. That's a grown person, right?
Right.
And I'm like, you can't treat them. I know, we love them and we want to, nurture them and protect them. But the earlier, the better for them to start making these decisions so they are more confident in themselves. They're more confident in their decisions. And they realize what the consequence is if they make X decision. It's nobody else's fault but yours when you choose to do this and then you're tired on the basketball court.
That's right.
It's nobody else's fault because we live in a generation now full of narcissists. I'm like, where did these kids come from? Or now humans, adults.
Right.
But it's like it's always someone else's fault.
Right.
And that just leads you in this whirlwind of like self-destruction.
Yeah, children becoming adults who don't take responsibility for their actions. Children who grow up with the victim mentality.
Yes.
Children who grow up thinking that they have to be
those.
thugs in order to feel tough, to feel like as if they're,
Cool.
they're cool
Or accepted.
And really, that whole mentality is derived from, some kind of, it's like an anxiety that was instilled in them from when they were kids.
I mean, because, parents, like I said, are humans, and they can only give you what they have the capabilities to give, which
Right.
we could take this all the way back, since you guys like to talk about politics and, the whole 13th Amendment
Right.
documentary and slavery in itself. We can go all the way back. And, but at some point we have to realize it's about course correction.
Right.
And so at 14s, this is what we are instilling. We're trying to, underlying the goal is to break negative generational cycles and course correct so we can do better. It might take 30, 40, 50 years, but hopefully eventually as a culture, as a community, we will course correct, and those things won't be the way of life, and we will transition, to your point, of the way we teach, the way we love, the way we speak to one another, so that we can grow and become more a whole human being.
Yeah.
And less of the it's somebody else's fault or the victim mentality.
Yes, whole productive citizens.
Yeah. Making the world a better place. Do your part.
And become united. So, like you said, it takes a village. And so, I guess the premise of this entire episode today was basically to bring you the viewers some options of how you can become more involved in your community. And for example, 14s is a nonprofit organization.
Volunteer, bring your kids, sponsor a kid, donate.
Exactly.
If you're on Amazon,
exactly,
look us up on Amazon Smile, become
That's
our charity.
Right. I do that. I get all of my stuff from Amazon Smile. So if you would like to raise, donate to 14s, you can definitely use 14s as your Smile donation organization and all that good stuff.
And that's FORE, 14s, TEENS.org. If you want to look us up on the website, visit us, join the listserv. We send out information monthly about scholarships and tips, tools, and resources.
Yes. So, thank you.
No, Jatia. Thank you. I've enjoyed being here.
Yes, this was good. I like talking about all of these things. I love
all the goodness that you're putting out in the atmosphere. I love it.
We're trying.
Yes, Motive Zone.
We're trying to, the motive is to motivate and inspire and to build community and to have the conversations that really matter.
Correct.
Because these are conversations that we all think about, but, we don't really come together to do something about. And so hopefully the Motive Zone can be your zone where you can become more involved in the community.
Yes.
And as you all know, I like to try to end the episode with a motive of the week. So the motive of the week is, instead of using fear tactics or manipulations, whatever, as a way to kind of convince your child to do better or to convince children to do better, let's use confidence, inspiring language to motivate our children. Let's, for us singles and us people out here who do not have children, let's research some of these nonprofit organizations like 14s, like Threads, like CASA, like Reading Partners, Destined for Greatness. What else?
Take One Baltimore.
Take One Baltimore, and get involved. It's only going to take an hour of your day at most.
Exactly.
So that's all I have for y'all today. Thank you again for tuning in to episode 6 of the Motive Zone. Thank you again, Tia.
Thank you. Guys, follow her.
Follow
She's amazing.
her. Yes. And I'm going to put all of the names of the nonprofits under the YouTube video. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Don't forget to click and
iHeartRadio, Stitcher. So I will make sure that all of these organizations are available for you to research and get involved in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on our channel. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You will see Kevin and I next week. Thank you for tuning in. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.